glad. I always I always love when I see you in anything just because I know the project's going to be better. Um, Years ago, I heard Kevin Smith describe certain actors in a way that always stuck with me. He would call them the marrow of a movie or a TV show. Of like, it may not be why someone went to see that thing, or it may not be why they turned it on, but that thing's better because they're there. And like, it wouldn't be that way without that actor in that role. And I feel like, especially in the last handful of years, just role after role is I think of that when I see you, of just like, I'm so glad they cast you. And I think a lot of it just goes toward, I think, your taste of like, what do you want to be involved in? Because the longer you're here, the more you get to say, I think.
Yeah, man. First of all, thank you for that compliment, truly.
Totally.
I think I come from the theater.
Yeah.
And I started this journey about 32 years ago. And I think I've always come at my work with a source of integrity. I've always attacked it from a place of being a creative, being a character actor who is also, I've always been a strange actor in a way. Well, an agent once told me that I was a character actor in a leading man's body. And at some point, I'm gonna have to figure it all out, and the world's gonna have to figure it out with me.
Yeah.
And I think that I've always had an esteem. I set out to be respected. I didn't set out to be famous. I didn't set out for any of the other things that may draw someone to do the work that we do. I loved telling stories and really going deep into characters and I think by going deep into characters, I go deep into trying to figure myself out and find out more about my fellow man.
Yeah.
So I think I've always had sort of a respect and esteem for the work, and even for my own world, what I will allow myself to do or be a part of. And I don't have to play characters that are strictly heroic in any way. I like to play flawed, very complex people. People that I possibly would have judged for a moment, and then it allows me to actually humanize them and humanize their experiences. So I think that the projects that I've been a part of, like you said, in the last handful of years have been even more in the zeitgeist and on people's, I don't know, just on their fingertips and in their minds. And so people are seeing the work. Yeah. But I think it's still the work that I started out doing, to be honest, is like putting together a carefully crafted performance and putting my heart and soul into it. That's the one thing I know for sure. And I always tell any director that will work with me is you're going to get all of me, actually. You're going to get the interrogator. You're going to get someone who is willing to break down the script and work and also look at how we're making the thing. You know what I mean? As a producerial mind. So I'm concerned about everything. So which is why the things that I'm a part of, I think, are things that I really pour my heart and soul into. I don't do something unless that is required of me.
Yeah. I mean, you can totally see it also in just the work. I spent much of last year trying to get you nominated for Zola. And like, that's a role that 9 out of 10 actors, like they would be good in it, but I think it would just be a villain.
Right.
Because it reads somewhat charming, but still like this is a bad guy. And I think the gimmick that you do is like you kind of like him until he snaps. You're like, wait, what? And I know what's gonna happen, but I'm still like, this is a smooth guy. Like this guy, I get why they're with it. Oh, okay, no, I knew this was coming. Like there's something there, and that's a perfect example of what you said of like just exploring the role and going, well, what can I bring to this? And
Joey, I think like now that you mentioned Zola, the thing that I was very conscious of was creating someone that I didn't judge and someone who I loved.
Yeah.
Now this is based on a real person who did some really horrific crimes and sex trafficking, you name it.
Yeah.
But I think that the only way I was drawn to him because I thought I'm such a feminist, and I was drawn to the person who's sort of the opposite of me, and find out what makes this person tick. And once I found out he was an immigrant, and I just had to look at it from an immigrant story, which is probably odd. Not odd to anyone like, who's thinking when they see Zola, they're like, oh. But for me, I was like, he's an immigrant and this is where he has access. He's always had a way with women. He understands the psychology of women, and he's gone so far into understanding psychology of trapping women, you name it, and doing terrible things. But I thought that if I just look at the cores of this person's story, I can't judge this guy. I gotta love him. I gotta say that he wants what everyone else wants. He wants to be seen. He wants love. He wants to have a home, access, agency in his own world. And so that gives me the liberty to make him as complex and as dark. And everything is about control. Every single scene, every turn that he does that is dark and weird, but it all comes from something that's real. And so I think that's, and thank you so much for amplifying my work on Zola. I appreciate you so much for that.
And it's,
That was, I do think as well that it could have just been boiled down to just a simple villain, and that was his function. But I wanted to make it, for you to be, how can I say, Joy, the director of it, the editor, she said, you know, it's something so weird. I know I shouldn't like this guy, but I like him.
Yeah.
And that is the challenge.
Oh yeah. And it's acting exercises. That's goes into with Euphoria, like the introduction to you on Euphoria is for a show that's all about acting and style and like gonna show you every trick in the book to hook you into this. It's essentially a one-act play you get to be introduced to. And your stage roots are just like, okay, there's a camera on here. So like maybe I don't have to project to the back of the room, but everything else is, this is a conversation. This is just the stage again. And it's just everything in the last year or so has been, let's open up your toolbox, I guess. Like, show me everything you got.
Yeah, man. But I'm lucky to have people like Sam Levinson who can see that and writes towards that. He writes towards what I can do, but also things that I probably haven't been able to do in television, where it's like, you know, like that special episode in particular. It's like, I mean, I don't know what actor has been gifted something like that. You have 1 hour of you sitting in a diner with one of your favorite actors, and you trust the work and you trust that you will get there. It really is an exercise in listening and responding and actually being in the moment and crafting something that's really, you know, doing the work. You know, I rehearsed on my own for like 40 hours a week just to make sure I got up to speed. So I didn't want anyone to see the work. I wanted to be listening, the thing that, you know, actors strive to do. I just want to be like listening, responding, but you got to do a lot of work to do that. And also just like, you know, looking at how he operates. And so I work with people like Sam Levinson, like Janixa Bravo, people who like really see what I can bring and then challenge me, you know, like, you know, it's always a little daunting, to be honest. You look at a script like that and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Yeah. But that's what actually excites me.
Well, that's the thing. You got to, you know, obviously there are people who think it's the hardest job in the world. There are people who think, oh, actors have the easiest job in the world. Obviously the truth is, you know, somewhere in between. But even just the idea of like, here's a giant stack of papers, memorize it is a job. Like that's, you know, and beyond even memorize it, but then internalize it, then perform it. Like just to know it, you know, it's a skill you don't keep. You know, as a kid, you know, education is very memorizational for better or worse. Like you remember things, but once you graduate from whatever your top level of schooling is, you don't have to remember shit anymore. Like
no, you don't remember anything.
I got a supercomputer in my hand.
You know, that's our incredible job. People never see that. People think that, I'm always telling young actors, because they think, you know, the red carpets and all that stuff, they want to be an actor because somebody told them they had a good look. I'm like, yo, if you really want to know the work that goes into what we do, really hang out with me when I'm not on set. The work, the 120 hours that I rehearse on my own to go into the work that you see in a 60-minute experience of a Euphoria. Even like, you know, just, you know, simple scenes, you know, say, I will rehearse myself. I'm on The Color Purple right now, music feature. And I rehearse, you know, Sundays are my days to do work. I work my scripts out, I work the beats out. There's a lot of work that no one sees. And I think that the joy for me, to be honest, but also I would say the challenge for people who are witnessing it sometimes, I like to make sure that people don't see the work. Yeah. I like for my voice, my body, all that stuff that I detail so much to somehow become just a real human being. And then if you don't see the work, it may not be shiny at times. You know what I mean? I think, you know, they think every performance is not like Zola, where I get to like, it's a show your role. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can really show the turns. But something as simple as Euphoria is very sly, actually. And it's crafted in a way so it can become like breath, you know?
Oh yeah, because you're not, in that same moment. You're approximating it in whatever way works for you, and obviously for Zendaya, like whatever ways work for you to be in that moment. But you're not going through the same things. And as soon as you call cut, like you can take a drink and you can, check your phone. You can do whatever you need to do, and then you go back into it. So yeah, whatever you're doing, the work has to never show, which is I think the hardest part is like everything that you just said, no one ever gets to see. They think, at the most simplistic, that you roll up and go, all right, let's do this. All right,
or they may boil it down to thinking that that's actually me, that's actually my experience. That's actually like that I don't do any work. They're like, oh, they think of me as Ali or just as the other character, which is still a compliment.
Yeah.
But then it's also, for me, I'm like, oh, the thing that I love the most is when people actually meet me and they're like, oh, your voice isn't as deep as it is as this character, or oh, your body's a bit more, you look bigger in that role. You look older in that role. Sam Levinson always says, he says, you look younger off camera than when you come on set for Ali. I was like, yeah, because of the work that I do, even physically, to become Ali. So you won't know it. But then you see me on a Zoom, he's like, Colman, you look too young now. What are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm just hanging out and being myself right now.
That's the thing, being able to do the work and have it be appreciated, but also to have it be seen. That's what else do you want? Like, obviously, paying the rent is nice. Let's get that out of the way. But once you do that, and once you reach a point in your career where you're like, okay, I don't think I'm going to go hungry. I've now accomplished that first goal of an actor. I will not starve, and I don't have to waiter. Now, what do I want? Do I want the work to be seen? Do I want to make more money? Do I want to be super famous? Like, what do I want out of this? And it just feels like you have the right attitude of just like, I want to do things that like I have to work at, and they're rewarding when I accomplish them, and people seem to like. And if they don't like, I'll make another one. But also, I'm not following what I think someone else is telling me. I never feel like your roles are the agent going, you know what the next thing should be? I always feel like you're seeking them out. And I'm sure that's not always the case. People are offering you things, but it feels like your instincts are bringing you there as opposed to the other side of the coin.
Bingo. I think you're absolutely right. But I've always been that way. I think I don't know where it came from. I come from a very humble West Philadelphia working class family who just wanted me to do something with my life and get a good education, hopefully make some money with some benefits. But I've always had that impulse, honestly, that I can, what I do and how I do it is just the most important thing. And it's really, I've always made choices, to be very honest, that wasn't about finances. It was not about being awards worthy. It was not about any of that stuff. And I still do that. I think, listen, the only way I can actually be a really stay positive and open-hearted the way I am as a human being is like, I can't think about that stuff. I do think, I think awards amplify the work. Money gives you more security. How wonderful. But agency, having choices, is the thing that I love the most. It's like, so yes, I do choose exactly what I do and what I'll spend my time with. And it's funny, I do wish that, and I think my team also wishes that there were maybe 5 of me, because then I could do everything to do. Because there's so many things I want to do. But I really, the thing that I'm blessed with is I have a team that believes, and they always say this: if Colman really wants to do this, we'll figure it out. Colman will be on a plane from one country, literally, to another country to shoot and come back. And so I make it work.
Yeah. Because it also gives you joy. Like at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying it, why? First of all, why are you doing all the work if you're not liking it? But also, there are so many people who would give anything to do it. Like if you're just sort of going through the motions, and I'm sure everyone encounters it at whatever job they have, just someone who's like, you hate it here. But especially with acting, where it's like, oh, you have everything, but you are the most unhappy person. Like, I don't know what to do for you.
Dude, I know some people like that. And I'm just always surprised. I'm like, wow, you're kind of miserable. You probably should have left this a while ago and did something else. I mean, our careers are basically, it's a service career. I was a bartender for 15 years of my life. And I still think that I'm basically a bartender in my life right now, because my job is to be in service, not only to sets, to the culture of it, to the way we make it, to the way we get it out there. And I still love it. And I will do it until as long as I still love it. When I already feel like, because I'm to be honest, because I think I'm 52, I'm already thinking, so what is going to be the next chapter? Do I want to Like, I know that I've been producing more and directing and doing all the other things that I do. But the thing that I really enjoy right now is like, creating something really special and then going away, going to sit on the beach somewhere, go sit in my house, be in my garden. All that stuff I know pours right into my work for the next thing. And then be clear and be specific. Now I can be beautiful. I don't have to hustle as much. Someone actually had to tell me that, Colman, you don't have to take every job. You know that, right? You've done pretty well for yourself. But I still have this hunger as I did when I was 21, where I'm like, but I want to do it. I want to do that thing. That's weird. That's cool,
And that's what makes the work so good. I think whether it's Zola, which is big, or Euphoria, which is so small is the wrong word because the emotions are huge, but just
let's say nuanced.
Nuanced. It's all about the character making you feel something. And between those two things, I feel like I see almost all the possibilities of an actor. And just as someone who appreciates the work, you go, this person's doing it right. And you just want to see more of it. And whether it leads to awards or whether it leads to another job or just a paycheck, like whatever is happening seems to be fulfilling you, which is obviously the most important part for you, but seems to be working for others. And at the end of the day, if it's making you happy and making other people happy and touching them in some way, or just getting a rise out of them for some, with Zola, you're doing it right. Like, so I mean, there's no real end to this besides like kudos, like, please keep doing this. Like, I love it.
Thanks, man. I think, and that's what, it's beautiful. It's great to talk to you about this too, because it's about anything that continues to help amplify the work, whatever that is, to say, keep doing it.
Yeah.
And whether it means awards, whether it means, more access, wonderful. When people say, just keep going and keep doing what you're doing, we see you. That's great.
Oh yeah, it's the side thing of acting. Like, obviously the work and the fulfillment for you is great, but every actor has that little bit of like, tell me I did a good job. Like,
Yes, of course, I have an ego like everybody else.
Exactly. Tell me I'm good.
Yes.
And because nobody wants to make anything bad. Even the schlockiest thing in the $5 bin that no one's seen, like, wasn't made with like, guys, we're gonna make some shit today. Like,
man,
it all comes from a place of.
It takes a lot to even make shit. It takes a lot to make shit. So I try to be positive about anyone who gets anything made in this industry, man, because it's tough. It's tough, but hopefully if the right heart's behind it, I think that's been my key. It's the hearts around it that really helps amplify the work, and that's part of the success.
I think that's a perfect way to go out on your heart, I think, is in everything. And, we're going to see it more in things that will be up for awards, things that'll just be there to entertain, and it's just a good thing. So I thank you for doing that, and I thank you for this time. This was a great conversation, and just I always like seeing you in something, so it's great to see you on my computer for a change.
Thanks, Joe. It's good to see you too. Good to talk to you.
Likewise. Thank you for doing this.
Be well.
You too.